everyone, and welcome to episode 35 of the Daddy Brigade podcast. I'm Keith the Bearded Tank.
I'm Zach the Tactical Gnome. And tonight, continuing to our interview series, I think that we've been on a run of now, right? We have 51Fifty rifles. This has been a podcast that has been in the works for about a year now.
Yeah, it started at SHOT last year.
Yeah, it started at SHOT last year, which we weren't at, but we mentioned their rifle. And it was an absolute beautiful rifle at that. If you guys remember us talking on our SHOT show episode last year about 51Fifty's Liberty rifle for the Randy Couture GI Foundation or GI Foundation, however you pronounce that. We mentioned it, and we've been talking back and forth with them pretty much ever since. And Keith was nice enough, who's from 51Fifty, he was nice enough to send me some pre-SHOT show pictures of their new rifle and some of their other rifles. And we finally got everything squared away. And after 3 tries of trying to do this podcast, we finally got them on. Damn you, Mother Nature.
Yeah.
So, Keith, thanks for coming on, man. We greatly appreciate you having on, and glad we finally got everything nailed down.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself and 51Fifty.
So, I'm born and raised in the Communist Republic of California, and I escaped there in 2014. My wife and I moved to Texas. I'm a third-generation printer by trade, so dealing with graphic designers, graphic arts, all that kind of thing from basically birth to my late 20s, and then moved into the car business. Started building rifles because my father, before he passed away, achieved his lifelong dream of becoming a gunsmith. And my dad was a Vietnam vet in the Navy so my wife and I we found out he finally achieved his lifelong dream, wanted to do something nice for him. So I designed a U.S. Navy rifle. Had never built a rifle or anything, just wanted to do something nice for him, and actually started having phone conversations with my dad to trick him into designing his own gun.
Oh, nice. By the way, hey, what do you think of this and this? And yeah, no, that works.
Oh, yeah, I'd find all sorts of random creative ways to call me, like, God, what do you think of fluted barrels? Or, oh, God, I've always wanted a gun with a fluted barrel. So basically, I spent the next 6 months after he achieved his dream of becoming a gunsmith, tricking him into designing his own rifle. So it's actually coated in SOCOM navy blue. Only thing that's gold on it's the trigger. And stainless steel runs straight through, bolt carrier, everything all the way through the gun. And it's engraved with not only the silhouette of the ship he actually served on in Vietnam, but all his service information.
Oh, wow.
First time so very first gun I built. And that kind of was the catalyst that sent us down this very, what would my wife say, disturbed path that we are on. So, and if you've ever been to California, then you know the term 51Fifty is actually California Penal Code. Mm-hmm. So basically, it's a 72-hour psychiatric hold. And the reason I did it, I have a lot of friends in law enforcement, and we do work with 3 law enforcement charities as well as 2 military charities. And we just thought it would be funny. You know, everybody kept saying how crazy our guns looked or the ideas I was coming up with to build rifles at. And, so my wife's like, what do we call this thing? And we just started calling it 51Fifty, and they just took off from there. And so we're slowly trying to grow this thing and build a name for ourselves, just doing things that are constantly pushing the envelope, as well as my wife, my lovely wife's patience. And
I was going to say, with some of the work that I've seen, I could see the pushing the envelope, and I'm sure your wife is probably wanting to strangle you for as much detail, especially with this last rifle that you put in. She probably wants to strangle you.
A little bit. She's she's just as much involved as we are. She doesn't like being on camera. That's why she's not sitting here with me. She had to do one thing at SHOT Show where she was on camera, and she said, nope, no more. I don't do it. I'm behind the scenes, but we call her the creative director. So a lot of times I'll come up with a gun I want to build, and then she'll come up with a theme for it. But most of the time we come up with a theme, and then we try to build the gun around the theme.
Nice. I was wondering how that's a question we have later I wanted to know like how those came about. So you basically got started in the firearms industry by building your dad his own gun.
Yep, actually, it's that one right there.
Oh wow,
That's
So
cool.
the
nice.
it's hard to see, but the ship he served on is actually engraved in the upper receiver right there.
Wow.
Wow,
Very
super.
subtle. My dad was not a flashy guy, but like I said, I tricked him into designing his own rifle. So that's the rifle that actually set everything in motion.
And now, how long have you guys been in business and doing these custom?
We've been doing this now since 2015. So this will be 5 years. Majority of what we build is being contacted by a charity, and so we deal with the Dallas Fallen Officers Foundation, the Texas Fallen Officers Foundation, and the National Fallen Officers Foundation. And so the majority of our builds have actually been used by them as fundraisers to auction off, and they take care of the families of officers killed in the line of duty. The last one we auctioned off was actually at SHOT Show. We were able to get it back from the gentleman who wanted it at auction in April last year, just to display it. And it benefited a Fort Worth PD officer who was unfortunately, end of watch was on his daughter's 19th birthday. He was killed in the line of duty.
Wow.
And so when the foundation reached out to me, my wife is absolutely, we're doing this. Unfortunately, it's normally 6 to 9 months for us to build a lot of these, and we had to do it in 4.5.
Oh, geez.
From one end. Yeah, so that one was
Lots
literally
of sleepless nights.
we finished it 3 hours before the auction.
Whoa.
Yeah. So when that one sold, I was like, whew, done. But we got involved with them when, I'm sure you saw it on the national news, when the 5 officers were ambushed and killed in Dallas a few years ago. That was actually what got us involved with the Fallen Officers Foundation. That was the first charity rifle we built, and we built one for those 5 fallen officers. It was auctioned off, and then the proceeds split up amongst the 5 families.
Wow. So when these go to auction, like these rifles go to auction, I'm assuming these bring some pretty big money.
They do pretty decent. The one for the 5 officers brought 15. And then there was a Texas Tech officer who's unfortunately, again, killed in the line of duty, doing a wellness check. And the kid was high on drugs, pulled a gun out of his pocket, shot him in the head. So we did a Texas Tech rifle, that one for 18. The rifle we did for last year, the one that went in April, was a Texas Rangers themed rifle. We actually had to get permission from the chief of the Texas Rangers to build the rifle. So I've actually got an email directly from the chief of the Texas Rangers giving me permission to use their badge and build this rifle. The folks over at Carr Firearms were nice enough to donate a Desert Eagle 1911. So it was a set. We auctioned them separately, and separately the combined auction was $26,500 is what those 2 went for the widow of that Fort Worth PD. So for the foundation, because they're all sister foundations, the Dallas, the Texas, and the National Fallen Officers Foundation. They were founded by Trey Penny, who's a 20-year sergeant of the Dallas PD, actually running for Congress now in Dallas. But so we've raised just under $70,000 for them in the last 3 years.
Wow. Awesome work.
Yeah. And all the companies involved are awesome too, because when we do these builds, we can't do it all on our own. It's just my wife and I doing this. So a lot of companies step up, if I call them and say, hey, I need a barrel, or hey, I need an upper, or whatever, and here's what we're doing. They step up and they deliver. Cheaper Than Dirt was a huge partner in that one. Donated a bunch of stuff, as well as a bunch of swag for everybody at the auction to get hats and lapel pins and personal safes and so on and so forth.
Sweet.
Dallas Airbrush, who does a lot of if we're doing airbrushing versus Cerakoting with engraving, he steps up. He's done 5 or 6 rifles for us now. He's amazing. He did our Walking Dead rifle, which is actually built for a military charity in Georgia called United Military Care. That gets homeless vets off the street.
Nice.
Nice. That's, I like the Walking Dead rifle, especially the brass knuckle forward grip.
Okay. Yeah, the brass knuckles actually pull out too. So.
See, I need something like that on the front of my rifle. Yeah, by the way.
Oh, I'm out of ammo?
I'm out of ammo.
I don't know how practical it is.
Let me just beat you to death.
We were trying to make sure, we represented everybody on the cast. So that's the Carol part of the build.
So, let's see here. I'm like trying to look through my questions.
We kind of covered that one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Take that.
So explain. I guess we'll kind of skip down because we were kind of in this here a little bit. Explain to us like the inspiration behind the Liberty rifle and the Struggle rifle.
The Liberty. So I met Randy Couture my first shot show, which is three years ago, and I had a great friendship and partnership with Sun Optics, which the owner of it sold the company and retired. But he was displaying the rifle I just showed you, as well as the sequel to this, because this was for my father, and my father unfortunately passed away 3 years ago. So I took the concept of this rifle and created. So this one's called St. Paul because that's the ship he served on, and so we made St. Paul II, which is, imagine this rifle rusting in the fields of Vietnam since the end of the war. So the guys at Outlaw Ordnance, Chip and Nakia, great guys. They help me with a lot of my projects, including Struggle and Liberty. They're the ones who do all my laser engraving when we do these crazy things. And they literally engraved rust patterns throughout the gun and came up with a special rust Cerakote job to literally make it look like this gun had rusted in Vietnam.
Wow.
So because of being at that SHOT Show, I went to what was it? Drinking Brothers podcast, Black Rifle thing, after hours thing, and Randy Couture was there, and I had the honor of meeting him. And I'm not a big celebrity guy. I've met celebrities over the few years and whatever, they're just people to me. But I always had a lot of respect for Randy Couture. Went over and started talking to him, and he told me about his Extreme Couture GI Foundation and what they do to help vets, with reacclimating to civilian life. If they're injured in line of duty, he'll literally show up and hand them a check for $10,000 to offset some of their hospital bills, or if they need prosthetics, help pay for their prosthetics, whatever this foundation does. And he's like, hey, I'd love to see what you can do to help us out, build a rifle we could sell or auction. I said, okay. And went home and from SHOT Show, and about 3 months later, the head of his foundation, he said, if you don't hear from me in the next 30 days personally, reach out to the VP of the organization of my foundation. I did, and it just was a go from there. And when I started talking to companies to get them involved, such as Into Precision for the upper, and McGowan Precision custom made the barrel, and Vortex Optics, and Titan Ballistics, and all the companies that contribute to this build, Outlaw Ordnance, who did all the engraving on the scope and the whole gun, as well as the paint for me. They were all on board. The inspiration was, well, since it was a military charity, we thought, what better than to do something based on the founding of this country, our founding fathers and the Revolutionary War. And so what the theory, or how I came up with the concept, was we looked up the specs on a Revolutionary War musket, as far as length, weight, ballistics on the bullets, so on and so forth. So we built it in 338 Federal with a 26-inch octagon bull barrel, so that its weight, and overall its weight was pretty close to what the Revolutionary War musket would have been. Overall length, not quite as long. The muskets were, about 5 feet long. It came in at 46 inches and about 15.5 pounds. 338 Federal was similar in ballistics to if we took that musket and gave it a slight evolution. And that's kind of what the theory was. When bolt action, 1, 50 state legal, but 2, it'd be the slight evolution of the Revolutionary War musket. And then the crew over at Zach Brown Southern Ground in Georgia built us a rope-handled wooden crate for it, so that whoever wins it, when it gets auctioned off, it is a wall-mountable wooden crate that basically turns into a display box for the rifle.
Oh, how cool is that?
Because we figure, if you're going to build something that's supposed to revolutionary war, well, guns back then, if they were shipped anywhere or transported anywhere, they were put in a big wooden box.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
My wife and I were talking about, we're like, it has to be a rope handled wooden crate. And so those guys were nice enough to create us this beautiful white oak rope handled wooden crate. Unfortunately, the thing was about 125 pounds by itself. At SHOT Show, we didn't actually take the crate in. The booth wasn't big enough in Ultimate Tactical's booth because they just played Liberty for us. So we actually just took the lid in. We actually took the lid off the box and put it behind the rifle in the booth as a backdrop. So that's kind of how the Liberty came about.
And that's the rifle, for our listeners, that's the rifle that I seen on the Instagram feed, and that's what started this whole thing.
Right. That's when you and I started talking.
Yeah. When I seen that rifle, I instantly told him, I was like, I can't remember the name of the company, but you need to look at this rifle. Like, it is carved. It is badass. Like, you need to see this thing.
Yeah.
And then when we did the show, I actually was sitting on my phone, like going through all the SHOT Show posts just to find the name of you guys so I could tell it.
It blew every bit of what we envisioned for that rifle, and then some turned out, because again, the guys at Outlaw, the some of the things the pictures don't do justice for, like the scope is actually, the Declaration of Independence is actually engraved in the Cerakote wrap in the scope. So it's like you're looking through the Declaration of Independence.
Nice. That's the amount of work that was on that gun is what blew me away. Like, I'm like, they put so much time and effort into the design. I told him, I was like, we really need to talk about this gun. And then, of course, now you guys have done Struggle. And
Struggle. So
Struggle,
that's
like, kind of just raised that bar.
It did. It has. So when we did Liberty, that was our first foray into, really, I mean, we were already doing custom, guns and themed guns, but Liberty, I had to modify the upper, modify the lower, modify the grip. We had to prototype the buttstock that was a one-off buttstock that cut out of billet aluminum. It weighs 3.5 pounds.
Wow.
The barrel was custom made. The handguard was custom made. So that kind of started us down a path. We realized the market, a lot of people want to be able to customize their guns and do some of the crazy stuff that I see in my head, but there's not a lot of parts for it. Well, fast forward to Struggle, same buttstock, hollowed out, so it does not weigh 3.5 pounds. It's not quite the final prototype we'll release for retail, so other people can see their madness come to life on a rifle. But we're trying to finalize the prototype to get it out to the public and have, because I want to see other people what they come up with using some of the parts we've designed. But Struggle came about because actually Uinta Precision called me again in April of last year. I got an email and they're like, hey, what are we doing for SHOT Show this year? Not an hour before that, my wife had told me, she goes, you are not building a rifle for SHOT Show this year. So I was like, no, we're not building a rifle. And then I get an email from Richard over at Uinta Precision. He's like, hey, Keith, what are we doing for SHOT Show this year? Liberty was awesome for everybody involved in the project last year. We got to do something crazy.
So that's when you look at your wife and go, well, we're building a rifle.
I look at my wife. I was like, so this is from Richard at Uinta, and I got the death glare. So I called him and I was like, look, if I can get all my vendors, mainly Outlaw Ordnance, my engravers on board, we'll build a rifle. Outlaw says no, we're out. He's like, fair, okay. I call Outlaw, I send them a text. I said, hey guys, being contacted to do a SHOT Show build. You guys in? And they're like, well, what's the concept? What's the theme this year? I said, the eternal struggle, good versus evil. Man's eternal struggle with good versus evil. Archangels battling demons. And literally, as soon as I hit send, it came back, we're in. So, which my wife was not happy about. But I told them, I said, hey, if they say yes, we're in. So next thing I know, week and a half later, parts are showing up, and we're starting to do again, modify uppers, modify lowers, getting our buttstock cut. This one, actually, we had a handguard custom cut by the gentleman who actually donated their prototype scope mount for it, David Marshall at Optimum Parts Company. So this is actually has their first prototype scope mount on it, but they also cut my handguard for me because I wanted to have a unique AR style handguard as far as, just a tube, but I wanted it to be a little narrower. I didn't want as fat of a tube. So just wanted to do something a little different, mix it up a little bit. So it's a 20-inch handguard, and then a 29-inch semi-bull barrel, and then it has our first prototype 3.5-inch precision muzzle brake on it.
That is a long barrel.
So, yeah, the gun comes in at 4 foot 3 inches long.
Honey, that's a gun almost as tall as you. 4 foot 3 inches.
I'm 5'2", shut up.
And it would probably still knock you down. She's
6'5" Creedmoor. Yeah, that's not bad.
5'2". I have to constantly make fun of her short stature. I'm not very.
My wife's my wife's 5'2" as well. So it's time. So that's how that came about. And when I met with them, Nakia and Chip, I showed them a picture and said, kind of this style artwork is what we're looking for, good versus evil. But I said I want it from break to butt, every square inch engraved. Just archangels battling demons, some filigree, so on and so forth. And they know I like a lot of Easter eggs. I like to make people look for everything. I don't want them just to be able to walk up and go, oh yeah, look at that, yeah, okay, and then walk on. No, I want them every time they look at it and go, oh crap, I didn't notice that last time. So that's how Struggle came about. And now we may be actually, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a country singer named Ryan Weaver. He contacted me after SHOT Show. He was at SHOT Show. He knows John Teagan of Tig from Benghazi fame. And I've had conversations with Tig since last SHOT Show and at SHOT Show this year as well. And Tig put us in touch. And they're going to be doing a short film, kind of a public service announcement short film about human trafficking. Ooh. And so we're going to be helping them out with Struggle, sending it to them, and they're going to be auctioning it off to help raise money to fund the movie, which will be, again, public service announcement about human trafficking and pedophiles and all that stuff, and making the public aware. Possibly will be used also in the adjoining music video that Ryan Weaver will be doing. So, and wow, Tig and Tonto and
really cool.
And Boone. Yeah. So yeah, a couple of the Benghazi guys are going to be in the short film. And it was something when he got in touch with us and told us about it, we wanted to find some way to be involved. And he's like, I'd really like that Struggle rifle to somehow help us out. So we're actually meeting up with him Tuesday in Dallas to finalize all the, details.
Awesome. The one thing that I kind of noticed and was initially when you guys did Liberty that I thought was interesting, and then now to see Struggle, was the bolt action AR platform like cross. So you have an AR lower with a bolt action upper.
Yes. So Uinta Precision is the one who actually makes that bolt action upper. They make them for both the AR-15 and AR-10 platform. And again, the reason we did those is, one, they lock up a little tighter so they can be a little more accurate, especially if you're shooting at distance. But two, Liberty, we wanted them to have the ability, if they were marketing in every state for the fundraising or whatever, we didn't want them to have any kind of issue auctioning or selling it off in whatever state they wanted to. So going bolt action instead of semi-auto, it's going to curb a lot of those issues. Mm-hmm. So that's why we went that route with Uinta. Plus, we just wanted to do something, up until we did Liberty, if you Google custom rifles, I mean, other than very few exceptions out there, it's just a Cerakote paint job on something you bought at Bass Pro Shops. Again, there's exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, people, Cerakote, paint their rifle, and it's a custom rifle now. Mm-hmm. So my wife and I like to push the envelope. give everybody brain damage in the process. But
you do a very good job.
So,
Yeah.
I think everybody involved in our projects would agree with the brain damage part. So,
So now, and all your rifles, they all are functioning, firing, everything.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Even though the last two that you've done should be put in an art museum because they're works of art.
Yeah.
I have every intention. If this if it doesn't sell, then basically it comes back to me. I have every intention of taking it out to the range, honestly. And before I met Mr. Weaver, before I met Ryan, I had the pleasure of showing it to Dana Lash, former NRA fame. You know, if you're on gun stuff, you know who Dana Lash is. And she lives in Dallas, her and her husband. And I told them I'd gladly bring them out to the range in Fort Worth, where we know a couple people, and we'd let them run some rounds through it.
Nice.
It's still a gun at the end of the day. It's just a really pretty one. So, and my wife
really
and I have
pretty.
you know, my wife and I had our personal rifles were in Unique AR's booths. My Spartan rifle and her Medusa rifle, and we take them to the range. It's still a gun at the end of the day. The downside is when you take them to the range, because it looks so different than anything anyone has at the range. You're usually going to talk to people for a while.
And everybody wants to see it.
Right. Yeah, or inevitably they want to shoot it, which my wife is very, very protective of her rifle. She does not necessarily like people shooting her rifle. Mine, I don't care. It's a gun. At the end of the day, I want to share what I do and my love and passion for firearms. And you meet up with me at the range. There you go. You know, have fun.
That's just awesome. I like, because to me, like how you said it, it's at the end of the day, it is a gun, but to me, like that would be hung on a wall. I'm sorry, like I would hang that on a wall. I'd probably still shoot it, but a majority of its life would be spent hanging on a wall.
Yeah, and the majority of what we built from when I talk to people that have, you know, won them at auction or bought, you know, asked me to build them a rifle, whatever, that's what happens. You know, they're just display pieces. And part of me is like, oh, yeah, that's kind of cool. I got some artwork, if you will, on the wall in their house. But at the same time, kind of hurts me a little bit. I'm like, I don't use cheap parts. I don't.
Take it off and shoot the damn thing.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So show it off, stop traffic at the range, but go have fun and shoot it. It's still a rifle.
Speaking of range, what kind of like training do you do other than just plinking at the range? Do you do anything or just?
Lately, I have honestly not been to the range near as much as I need to. I have a full-time career, and then I'm still trying to get this to the point where it actually sustains life for my wife and I. So, you know, I'm at work anywhere from 8 to 14 hours a day, depending on the day of the week, and some weeks 6 days a week. So on the weeks it's where I don't get a day off during the week, Sunday is straight recovery time to go back at it on Monday. Otherwise, and unfortunately where we're at in Texas, the range that I wanted to shoot at was closed down by the residential people. Apparently some less than respectful, less than safe riflemen were shooting over the berm on the 1,500-yard rifle range, and well, got the range put out of business. So we're trying to find a range
over the berm on 1,500.
So they're shooting 338.
Were they standing right at the berm?
No, they're 50 cals and.
Oh.
Yeah, we're out near hill country, so there's guys out here with, you know, the world record shot last I heard was shot here with a 375 Chi-Tac at 2.5 miles. So.
Yeah, I think is that the one that they just posted, or there's one? I think there may be a 3 mile shot now.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's like, it's stupid ridiculous. Like when you're starting to shoot that far, I'm like, do you just kind of lick the finger, do some Kentucky windage? Like, yep, it's that way. We're shooting. It's like, how you can't even see the damn target.
You pull the trigger, stand up and have a beer and wait for someone to tell you if you hit it or not?
The one guy actually did. The one shot I seen they videoed, the guy shot And it was 10 and a half seconds later, he got up from behind the rifle and picked up a Gatorade bottle, and somebody on the radio went, "Hey, you hit it." And it was like 10 and a half seconds later.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's some flight time right there.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, no,
Like,
no, that's my wife and I actually want to get into. My wife very much wants to get into shooting competitively, so we're looking at trying to get into 3-gun. She wants to develop parts specific to smaller statured and women, as far as ergonomics and weight. Because again, my wife's 5'2", so shorter arms, so on and so forth. And
I was going to say, I've got another short one to help you out.
So that's in the plans. Big picture, long-term goal is to open a shooting country club, if you will, that would have indoor lanes as well as outdoor lanes for distance shooting, for 3-gun, for classes, for transitional, for practicing concealed carry draw, so on and so forth, classes for women, classes for children, kids. Where the disconnect is nowadays is kids aren't being taught, and if you don't make something taboo, kids are less likely to do something with it. My dad started me at 4 years old, and a gun wasn't a taboo thing. It was respect it, take care of it, make sure it's empty, treat it like it's loaded, don't point it at someone. And that started at 4 years old, and the same with my children. So
I've been working with my little boy who's passed out in the chair over there since he was about 4 with Nerf guns. And it's funny because for Christmas, the wife's idea was to have a Nerf battle on Christmas morning. So I got him a Nerf gun, her a Nerf gun. Dad had to get the Fortnite scar because, well, Dad's not going to get outshot. Till I realized my wife's really good shot, even with a Nerf gun, and was zipping them past my head. And I'm like, crap, this ain't working. And he'll pick up the Fortnite and walk around like a little operator, like full finger, like index, like he'll shoot balloons. He really won't shoot at people unless tell him it's okay to shoot back and forth. But
okay, well, that's good. That's where it starts.
And he's 6 now, but since 4, he's done that. His Nerf guns, he walks around.
Okay.
And my one friend goes, how did you teach him? I says, I just told him not to put his finger on the trigger, and he just picked it up. And
it becomes a habit.
So do you guys are you mainly doing just rifle platforms, or do you guys kind of get into the other platforms as well, like shotguns, pistols, revolvers?
Right now it's just rifles. We're waiting for our house to be finished being built, and then we're going to be and once I do finish the prototype for the buttstock that's on Struggle and it was on Liberty, and get that to retail ready, then we'll expand from there to other rifle platforms and possibly shotgun, because people at some point will be like, well, okay, rifles are fun, but I want my shotgun to look cool too. Or, so we don't plan to stay locked into just one platform or whatever. Our insanity can.
That's what I was wondering, because I could see somebody with a badass shotgun by you guys. I could picture the designs of that.
You know what? And if I sat down and had a couple beers and just, kind of relaxed and thought about it and had a piece of paper in front of me, I could probably sketch, figure something out.
Nice.
But when I started going down the path of designing parts, because what I needed to make my vision or what was in my head come to life, that kind of took us in another direction. And now, so these are for the AR platform. Next will probably be AK, because I figure that'll be the natural evolution of the custom gun industry, as far as the engraving and painting and all that, because you're either AR or AK. And then we'll just keep expanding from there based on, wherever our head takes us. I've got a few ideas in my head for the next couple builds already. So after SHOT Show, there's a Joker gun in the works already.
Ooh.
But Jack Nicholson Joker.
Even better.
Yes. If you do a Heath Ledger Joker, I may know somebody that would buy that gun.
Well, my wife will not do Heath Ledger, because my wife says the only real Batman is Michael Keaton. So it will be a Jack Nicholson style Joker. We're also got a Black Widow, as in Scarlett Johansson Avengers. Black Widow 357 Sig.
You have
AR
my
in the
wife's
works.
attention now.
So yeah, we've got that one in the works. So yeah, that'll be. We're working with a barrel company, since no one's released or as of yet a 357 Sig production AR barrel. We're working with a barrel company to develop in, I think, 4 lengths 357 Sig barrels for the AR platform. Because I've heard, just why not? I mean, again,
Yeah.
keep pushing the envelope.
Yeah. I mean, why not do something that nobody else has done, blow some minds, and be awesome?
Can you take this while I carry him?
Go ahead.
I'll be right back, guys.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Gotta put the kiddo to bed. So, what kind of hobbies do you have outside of the firearm stuff? Because I'm kind of a nerd. I play video games and graphic design stuff. I mean,
most of it, my wife and I are big movie buffs. We have a pretty large movie collection. Sundays usually we'll do stuff in the first half of the day, and the second half of the day in the evening, we're just watching movies together. And it'll be either, hey, pick a genre or pick a letter, and that's how we'll choose what movies we're watching for the day.
nice.
Or she'll say, pick 2 actors, and you have to get from the first actor to the second actor within 3 or 4 movies. Kind of like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
So just watching all those movies, spending over 20 years of my life in the printing industry around graphic arts, and we specialize in art reproduction of limited edition lithographs.
Oh, nice.
So being around that my whole life, I figure is pretty much where this all comes from. And my wife's a pretty creative person too, and she says, you give me a couple glasses of wine, I'll figure something out. But we'll even just be driving, and she'll see something, or I will, or whatever, and then all of a sudden we'll turn the radio off and, hey, what about this idea? And we literally just, when we get home, write down or put it in our phone under the notes, ideas for guns. It can be something as simple as we saw
It sounds like
classic Chevy. Yeah, I mean, it could be one. I had a classic Chevy Bel Air roll by one time. I'm like, it'd be kind of cool to do it like a hot rod, chrome it out, candy paint, whatever, hot rod rifle. It could be anything that triggers something.
Oh, I message him probably.
Oh, yeah, throughout the day, because my wife works for a tax accountant. So right now during tax season, I'm at home with the kids, and he'll be at work and be like, hey, jot this idea down for me.
Or what about this? Or, hey, go check out this company real quick. And he's like,
yeah,
are you actually doing any work? I was like, oh, yeah, no, I've been thinking about this since I clocked in at 10 o'clock. I'm just now on my lunch break.
Oh. Even down to our logo. Our logo is actually laying right next to me.
I was going to say, I assume the logo comes from one of your dogs.
This Apollo. Come here, bud. Hey, come here. He's right here. He's
I seen him here.
Come here, bud. Up. Come here. This is our logo.
Oh, hi, puppy.
He's like, leave me.
This is Apollo.
He's like, leave me
alone.
alone.
6 years old. Okay, bud. 6 years old, and he's a husky and hybrid wolf.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How's he deal with the heat?
He's defective. He doesn't like cold at all. Like when it snows.
That is the first husky wolf that I have ever heard of that doesn't like cold.
Oh, yeah. He goes outside, and if there was snow on the ground, he'll put his paw and be like, nope, no, I'm good. He'll go back in the house, lay by the fire.
Nice.
Our Great Dane loves the cold.
Man, you better have a big house with those 2 big dogs.
Yeah. Great Danes are, they're like giant cats. They really don't do a whole lot.
See, my friend's Great Dane.
20, 30 minutes a day of exercise and you're done.
My friend's Great Dane was kind of a deity. Like, it would try to run like they also had a German Shepherd, and it would try to run after the German Shepherd, but like it just too much paw and just. And I was like, dude, I don't know how you don't have anything broken in your house. He goes, trust me, a lot of it's been replaced. Because it was literally just. Yeah,
their tails just kind of do this and clear everything.
Well, his was all his was paws. That dog was literally all paws, and it could not take a turn if it was on full run. Like it would just lose, it would fall over.
Oh, okay. Ours is actually very agile. So she's very smart and very agile and very stubborn.
Yeah, I guess his was stubborn too. So I guess
What's it like going to SHOT Show? We wanted to go so bad this year,
but organized chaos.
Pretty much that's what everybody said. And the SHOT Show plague or crud or flu or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Oh yeah. This was the first year I got it, and I don't get sick very easily at all. So when I do, it's usually
it makes me kind of laugh because from what I've heard and the guys that I know that go, for the amount of booze that gets drank at SHOT Show, like it should kill anything.
I don't gamble while I'm there. I don't even drink a lot. I'll have a few beers a day total in the whole day, maybe 2 or 3 beers. But you think about it, everybody's touching each of the guns, passing, so you go behind in the booth. No one's wiping down the guns after everybody touches them. And you're shaking hands and
I'm gonna get that coating that you put on your hands for when we go, like that, clear coating. Yep. How you doing? That new skin stuff.
Now a lot of booths do have hand sanitizer at the booth.
Yeah, I have seen that, and there are companies that are giving it away.
Oh yeah. We were walking around with a backpack, and my wife actually had it hanging from the backpack because this was actually her first SHOT Show.
Oh wow.
So we took her stepdad, who was EOD in the Army. This is his second year going with me. And then last year when Liberty was there, I also had my buddy from Georgia who was psychological ops in the Army.
Oh, nice.
And so they really enjoyed it, because they're all gun guys, but also there's a lot of military guys there. So, there's some camaraderie and all that. And obviously my buddy in Georgia is single, so he didn't mind some of the scenery. But
it just so
gun scenery.
Yeah. It just also happens to be that AVN's the same week as SHOT Show.
Every year. Yep. But
that's one of my friends was asking. He's like, so if you go to SHOT next year, because like we missed out on something this year that we didn't technically qualify for. He's like, if you guys go next year, like, are we also going to AVN? I was like, you can go to AVN. I'm going to stay at SHOT because I don't want to get a divorce while I'm at SHOT. He goes, smart idea.
Hydrate and comfortable shoes.
Yes. Yep. That's what everybody says. Hydrate, comfortable shoes, and hand sanitizer.
Yep. And you will never see everything in that week. I mean, I don't care how well you plan your week out, you're not going to see it all.
I believe it was who was it? I forget, one of the other podcasts that I listened to, I think it was the Gun Collective or We Like Shooting, said next year is actually going to be bigger.
Yeah, they're talking about expanding it into the MGM.
Oh, wow.
So right now it's in Sands Expo Center, which connects the Venetian and Palazzo. Mm-hmm. They're talking about also then pushing down overflow into MGM next year.
Jeez, that's insane.
Yeah.
So we kind of got through. I don't even know where we're at on time wise.
Yeah. About 50 minutes, but
let me see. I've tried to see. 12. Okay, so how many custom rifles? I think we kind of touched. How many custom rifles total have you built to date?
Jesus. 12 to 15? I don't know. It's not something I haven't even finished updating our website with all of them yet.
Wow.
I've got 3 more. So whatever's on the website, I've got 3 more to put on there. Plus I've got 3 on the bench right now because we're also building one for the Liberty First Foundation that is a prize gun that'll be given away at the end of this month. It's a bolt action AR-15 in 350 Legend.
Ooh. And that's a legal deer hunting caliber in Ohio.
No, it's not. It's got to be 357 or bigger in Ohio. It's straight walled, but it's
Well, 350 Legend is a 357 slug.
Yeah. That one I think is
it
legal
might
in.
fall under that.
I think it is, if I remember right. It's legal in Ohio.
Yeah. That's what I was doing. Yeah, but it's only. I mean, it's a flat shooting round out to about 200, 250 yards, and then its energy just burns off and it falls.
That's kind of like the same. Everybody that I've been talking to, that's kind of like the 450 Bushmaster, like 300 yards, and then it drops out. And then you got the 45-70, goes a little bit further, and then it peaks out. The straight wall cartridges, once they hit their max, then they're done.
Yeah. Well, the 338 Federal we did for Couture even, that round is, I mean, we sighted it in initially, 300 yards, it was flipping the steel plate around, no problem. 500 yards, it moved the steel plate. We made contact at 1,000 yards, but it didn't even move the plate. It just marked the plate.
Yeah, it just marked it.
It just put a mark on the plate at 1,000. So,
well, we're down to like the last. I think he's looking through everything. I'll ask you the one question that I always forget to ask everybody. Did Epstein kill himself?
Absolutely not.
I think that's what
like
that's
6 for 6.
Yeah, 6 for 6 now.
Yeah. That's like saying if Epstein killed himself, then the guns on the rack behind me pull their own triggers.
Okay, that's about the best I've heard yet.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is because everybody had that whole thing going on Facebook, and I was like, okay, eventually we got to stop asking that question, but I'm gonna run with it for a little bit.
Have some fun with that.
What's your favorite firearm, favorite caliber, favorite optic?
Ooh.
And it doesn't have to be ones that you build. It could be whatever.
There's no constraint on it. In general, favorite firearm.
Firearms, I'm a huge fan of anything on the 1911 platform. I really want a Delta Elite in 10 millimeter, and I really want a Kunin 357 1911 as well. Those are just two of my favorites. Optics, I've been real happy with my partnership with Athlon and the one that's on the actually I've got three or four rifles set up here that all have Athlon, and I will say their customer service is second to none. The glass is clean as can be, clear as can be. If you have an issue, those guys, they're on it like a fat kid on a free buffet. So other people's rifles, I am a huge fan of lever actions. I'm a huge fan of old school Western style revolvers. The old 45-70 Marlins and Winchesters, freaking love them. The Henry Golden Boys, freaking love
I was
them.
just telling him I want the tactical 45-70 lever action with the M-lock rail the whole way out. And he goes,
oh, okay, yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
what? And I was like, because tactical lever action and deer hunting.
And I love large calibers. The more people say, "Oh, that thing's gonna hurt," the more I want to shoot one.
Yeah.
I was reading about a new round for the AR-10 45 Raptor. I now want to build one just to pull the trigger on the damn thing. I want to build a 458 SOCOM just to pull the trigger on it. I want to shoot a BFR 45-70 revolver.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, they have a 30-06 and a 30-30 revolver too.
Broken hand. I can't do that right now. It's gonna be a while before I can even think.
Yeah.
One of my friends wanted to build a 50 Beowulf AR, and I was like, dude, don't be a wuss. Just build a 458 SOCOM. And he's like, that's a smaller round. I says, go look that up real quick. And then he did. And he's like, I must have a 458 SOCOM. And now his wife is in the process of helping him build it.
Right. I mean, hey, when you absolutely positively must throw a roll of dimes at someone at high velocity.
Yep.
I mean, that's about it.
He understands. See, you understand my logic of why I want a 50 cal, Barrett 50 cal.
I've been telling my wife, I always send it whenever I see the meme come through. Oh, she went to Barrett. And I'll send that to my wife. And when we were there, I made her go to the Barrett booth. She goes, oh, okay. No, it's not as bad. And when he told her how much it cost, she goes, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I'm in my mid-40s. She's like, God, I don't even know what I'm going to do for your 50th birthday. I'm all 50 caliber, you know?
That would be the perfect time to do it too.
Well, I joked with my wife. I always said, when you absolutely positively got to kill the robber at your neighbor's house behind the fridge a mile away, that's when you need a 50.
Well, if you like 50s and you don't want to spend quite the Barrett money, I don't know if you heard about them at SHOT Show, and because of my wife's stepdad, Forrest, who goes with them, has gone the last 2 years with me. He's friends with the owner. Condition Red Ordnance. You go by CROM.
I just heard about them this year.
Okay. So they brought a 50 cal that they've designed that is shoulderable because it's 10 pounds lighter than a Barrett.
Wow.
Yeah. And they developed, so they actually have AR similar style platform, a 338 Lapua, and something that they developed called a 500 Blackout, which is a 50 caliber round in a subsonic smaller platform that is shoulderable also.
Ooh, we may have to get in contact with them guys.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. They also do body armor and shields for military law enforcement. But I'm actually eyeing their 338 Lapua for myself, and maybe that 500 Blackout.
Nice.
When it goes to 50 cal, I liked what they showed. It is semi-auto, unlike everybody else's 50 that's going to be a bolt action to compete with Barrett. They don't go semi-auto, and they designed their 50 to actually use Barrett magazines.
There you go. My wife, there's one semi-automatic sniper platform that I really am a fan of, and we interviewed Ash Hess from Knights Armament.
Okay.
And I am a big fan of the M110 sniper system. Never shot one. I've shot 2 clones of them. Never shot an actual one. And after the interview, we're sitting here, and I was talking to Ash, and I said, so can a civilian buy one of them? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, really? And he goes, and my wife's sitting there, and she just kind of perks up, and I was like, see, now you can buy me one. And he goes, yeah, for $23,000. And she goes, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it. So close.
Well, that's like was it the rifle that Mark Wahlberg used in the movie Shooter?
Oh, the 408
Shaytek.
Shaytek.
Yeah, well, that Shaytek rifle is $15,000 without the scope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you buy the full-on kit, it comes with the scope, the weather meter, the computer, and everything for that. And I think it's right around like $30,000.
Yeah.
Because that's the intervention sniper system.
Yeah, and heavy as can be, 30 pounds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, that's one of those reach out, touch somebody in the next zip code type things.
Right. And my goal is to have a shooting range that people can bring those kind of rifles out. You know, that's the ultimate end game and dream. Don't know if I'll get there, but gonna try.
We actually have a local lady that's fighting with the town to open up an indoor range because she's like 3/4 of a mile from the middle school. In
the wrong direction.
Yeah. I mean, they're fighting her. She wants to build a new building and everything. And it's like
all regulatory, like all the bullet traps, everything. And they're like, well, it's near the school. And I was like, okay, first off, the next nearest gun range, indoor gun range, is the next town over. And it's less of a distance from the high school, middle school, and elementary school facing a main highway.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't facing a main highway. And like, I actually literally argued that point with a bunch of, because I work at an airport. I work for TSA down at Pittsburgh International. So we have people that fly through from this town. And I was talking to them, and they're like, well, what's the whole big argument? And I explained this, and these like 3 or 4 people that were like literally against it, once I explained everything and how the other one is, they're like, well, that doesn't sound as bad as they made it sound at the thing. I was like, that's because the media doesn't want you to make it sound right. So
it's ridiculous.
It is. So with that, basically our last one is, where can everybody, all of our listeners, find you at?
Instagram, we're at 51Fifty. It's the number 51 and the word 50 all run together. And then otherwise it's 5150rifles.com. Again, the number 51 and the word 50 and rifles.com.
Awesome. Again, thank you, Keith, for coming on. I appreciate it. Thanks for getting everything Sorry for taking so long to get it all set up, but thank you again for coming on.
Yes, 100%. Thank you so much.
If you want to hang out for a couple seconds, we'll go ahead and end the podcast, and then we'll be right back with you.
All right.
Well, other than that, man, I ain't got much. Everybody go check out 51Fifty Rifles. Like I said, they're absolute amazing pieces of artwork. And also stay tuned. We got I'll talk about that later this week. We got 2 big interviews coming on eventually here. Other than that, that's it, man. You got anything?
Nope, I got nothing.
All right. I'm Zach the Tactical Gnome.
Keep the bearded tank.
Daddy Brigade Podcast out.